Hi folks, we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Hello, and welcome to Virginia Stage Company at the Wells Theater. My name is Patrick Mullins. I'm the Director of Public Works and producer here at the theater. And we're really glad to have you on our ghost tour. It looks so nice outside tonight. It's just getting dusk. I think the brightness is a little misleading. But we're here at the Wells. This is my friend Ashley Branton.
Hi.
Ashley owns the Velvet Witch and is an intuitive psychic and is going to be reading the energy of spaces as we go through the room. I see a lot of familiar faces from folks that I know as you're popping by, and feel free to type in some ghost stories you've heard, because I know that there's a lot of staff joining us tonight from the past. So we'll be doing this. I also want to say that this is kind of a silly, fun thing to do right now, and we're really blessed to be able to do it, but I hope that wherever you are, you're taking care of yourself. You'll notice that we are maintaining social distance as we have our tour tonight. We have a couple of folks in the lobby I'll point out, so we have some security and somebody maintaining things. And I know that this is not official mask material. However, my allergies can act up, and in case I break into a sneezing fit in the attic somewhere, I want to make sure that I can cover my face. And yes, Sylvie, we will cover all the things. Hi in New Zealand. All right, so we're going to go inside and get a look around. If you don't know a lot about the Wells Theater, it was built in 1913 by Jake and Otto Wells, who had about 46, I believe, theaters in the Mid-Atlantic and the South. They built the theater in 1912. It opened in 1913. And let's step inside. It's a beautiful space, Beaux Arts architecture. Ooh, got it. And you'll see that there are lots of carvings and faces and things all over the space. So Ashley, do you read anything when you just walk into the building?
Oh my God, absolutely. It's so funny. I came in earlier, and as soon as I walked in, I can feel there's so much energy here. And as a lot of you know, living in a historic area, buildings, things, objects hold energy, right? We are energy, and so a lot of the historic places do have spirits and entities and things that are still present, and I felt that very much as soon as I walked in. Not necessarily a negative thing, but just it's pretty intense stuff, and I love it. It's great. I'm excited to do this. So
great. So we're gonna walk on in to the side lobby here. We have a couple of friends hanging out. This is Maris Smith, our marketing director, and Carolyn Thatcher, our production manager, who are here to help wrangle social media, and also for safety reasons, because this is a big building that's been empty for a while. And I want to introduce you to some friends we're going to carry with us on the tour. Pardon my low-budget mixing system, but this works. So we'll start with Ryan Clemens. Ryan, you want to say hi and tell us how you come to this group?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Clemens. I work with the Virginia Stage Company with our education department, and I have been haunting the Wells myself for, 10, 11 years now.
Ryan is our resident theater artist and longtime performer in shows, and has given a lot of ghost tours himself, so he may pop in with some stories at various times.
Yeah.
And then Josh Weinstein.
Hi, I'm Josh Weinstein. I'm the owner of Norfolk Tour Company. For years before I owned the company, I gave tours of Norfolk cemeteries. I now give tours of downtown Norfolk. That includes Freemason. I also do a downtown Norfolk theater history tour that is kind of, big picture effect of theaters on downtown life over the last century and a half. And I'm here to tell you my favorite Norfolk ghost story when the time comes.
That's great. Evidently, I've shut you off, and we're back. I'm going to jump down to Ryan Ward.
Hello. I was a house manager at Virginia Stage Company from 2010 to 2015. So we're 5 seasons, and I saw my fair share of just oddities or things that weren't, when you see the space every day, it's kind of, you notice changes and things that kind of are different around there. So I'm just here to give my 2 cents about things I saw and things that I experienced my 5 years there. So
That's great. And Dr. Charles Ford.
Yes, I'm Dr. Charles Ford. I'm a professor of history at Norfolk State. I've written on local history on Norfolk in the 20th century, red lights and civil rights. So I'll give a little bit of overview of Norfolk right at the time of the Wells founding around 1910, 1912. I'll give sort of an overview of the geography and the topography of Norfolk at that time.
That's great. Thank you. So I think we're going to look around the lobby just a second here, and I'm going to take these gentlemen with us in my handy-dandy apron pocket, because that way they can see. Oh, I should give you front-facing camera. Sorry. There you go. All right. And so we are in the side lobby of the Wells. This was originally a retail space and at one time housed a Dumars. The home of the original waffle cone was a shirt shop at one point. It's been reconfigured twice. This bar that you're looking at here was put in during the last renovation, and they had added a grand staircase during the first renovation. Originally, when you came into the building, you would have entered through the rotunda, as we were in just a few moments ago. And after you came in, you would come directly into the back of the theater. Now, in our time, we have a box office, and this is our kind of landing space for receptions. Originally, this wall on your right, however, was not here. They resloped to the floor during the 80s, is my understanding, during that renovation. And originally, seats would have come all the way back to here. And we'll talk just a little bit more about all of that. I just realized that I have left my flashlight, so I'm going to grab that. We'll need it later. All right. So we are headed into the house. Are you ready, Ashley?
I am ready.
All right. I'm going to let you lead.
Okay, great.
So we are entering the house of the Wells Theater. You can see the frescoes on the ceiling, the boxes, and on stage. How's it going for you, Ashley?
Well, as I said, when I walked in the building, I did feel a lot of energy, and walking into here, it's like amplified. It's heavy. And again, I don't want to say in a negative way, but I can absolutely feel, and I don't want to necessarily say specific spirits right now, but I feel just intense, heavy energy in here, and but it's beautiful. There's also an underlying bit of peace to it as well. So, but it's pretty intense.
Yes, we're going to walk up on stage, look around just a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about our fly loft. It's very historic and something we're proud of, and also in the process of renovating soon, and the theater at large. And of course, the ghost light. If you don't know what a ghost light is, it is a light left on in the theater for safety. It's also kind of a metaphor, I think, in this time. Somebody, I think it was John Bremner, said it's never been more appropriate. And the light is on here, and we will come back, and we have faith in that. And I don't know about you, but for me, the theater's been a place of safety, and I think that stands for that very much. So, Ashley, do you want to pull a card?
Yeah, so I'm a tarot reader. I'm also a psychic medium, but my I love is pulling the cards, and so I decided to kind of do an energy read just based off the cards. I did shuffle already in the lobby before we started, so I have them in my little pocket here with all my crystals as well. And I usually pull intuitively, so the card necessarily on top is not going to be the one that I pull, but I just want to kind of see if the cards are in line with how I'm feeling from all of this. All right, so it wasn't too far in there. This is my favorite deck. So I pulled the Hermit card, and it's pretty cool that I pulled this right now because I think this is an overall energy of what's going on, not only in this theater, but as a whole right now. The Hermit is all about kind of finding inner peace and inner journey. It's about staying within the walls of your comfort zone and your safe place, and but also it can be a time to face our shadows. And darker times like this, we are being asked to really dig deep and go on an inner journey, and face our shadows. And I think that there are quite a few shadows in this building, but there is a lot of peace, obviously, with the art that goes on here. So I love this. I think this is perfect.
Thank you. I will say, too, that in my time, I haven't heard any dark energy stories.
Yeah,
Mischievous, definitely mischievous, but not dark. So here we are, and I think the first thing we talk about is the Lady in White. If you're not familiar with the Lady in White, she's usually seen up here in the mezzanine, the first mezzanine. You'll remember, of course, this building was built in 1913, so it was a segregated balcony up top. But this second mezzanine is where we've most often seen the woman in white, although there are stories of her appearing in the building next door. If we look to our right, backstage, you can see there's a big door that goes into our shop area. So on the other side of that big door is actually the Monroe building. It's the adjoining building that was built out and it's right behind this wall as well, behind the hallway here. It was built out as a support building for the Virginia Stage Company. Governor School of the Arts drama program was based there. And then a few years ago, they moved the rest of a lot of their programs. Most of their programs are housed in that building at this point, save, I believe, dance, which is down the street at our great friend Todd Rosenlieb's. And so a lot of the stories don't just happen in the space. We do have a lot of reports from this adjoining building, which is almost as old as the Wells. Originally, if we look up, you can see, and we'll go in later, the dressing rooms, and you'll understand better a little bit about how it might have worked in 1913. But we have our dressing rooms next door. And so the woman in white has been seen in those dressing rooms in addition to this mezzanine space. Often people hear someone singing arias, a female soprano, and we also attribute that to happening in this space, or attribute that, to the woman in white. So we're going to take a little trip up to the mezzanine.
Before you said that, I totally got the energy that she was a playwright here. She has been in a performance here, and I didn't even know about the singing until just now, and I felt that very strong. Like she is reliving. It's almost like what we call residual haunting. And I think that was her favorite seat in the house was that particular balcony. But she also really loved, she just loved it here. It's the best time of her life, so.
Well, maybe I'll spend some time with her later as well, because I love it here, and my favorite seats are right there in the front of the mezz. It's a beautiful space to watch from. So we're going to head upstairs. Here we go into the lobby. How are our friends on Zoom doing? Everybody good? Dr. Ford, while we're traveling, can you talk to us a little bit about the history of this area during this period?
Sure. Norfolk was a much smaller city than it is today. About 67,000 in the census of 1910. And today we're a city of 250,000. So certainly it was a smaller city in terms of people, but also land area too. Norfolk had just annexed Berkeley across the river, but it really hadn't annexed a large area which would go from Larchmont all the way around to Sewell's Point and to the river, to the Elizabeth River. That area would be annexed in 1923, and then, of course, Norfolk County would be annexed only in 1955. That would include Moorview and Five Points areas. So Norfolk was a smaller city. It would double in size in 1920 because of World War I. So the Wells Theater was built right before World War I, so it was built in that decade of growth for this particular area. It also came at a time of the heyday of white supremacy. That was the 19 teens. And Norfolk, during the Civil War, had been an occupied city. Actually, had been part of the Union side for most of the war. It would fall to the Union very early in the war, in 1862, and then become the occupied city. So Portsmouth was always under Confederate control usually in the war. So Portsmouth and Norfolk were different in that sense. Norfolk itself, though, became more Confederate after the war. And of course, the Confederate monument would go up downtown right before the Wells would. So certainly this time, highly segregated city and increasingly segregated as the 20th century would go on. Also a city that drank a lot. This was the wickedest city in America, according to Carrie Nation, who came here in 1894, and that's still, I think, the case. The rest of Virginia was very, very dry. But of course, the Wells Theater today allows drinks in, and that certainly is in the spirit of Norfolk. This was before the influx of sailors and everything else, so Norfolk would have the reputation of being a very, very fun city in that sense. New Orleans, in some ways, without the charm, maybe, but certainly the drinking would be the major thing here. Vice too. Against servicing sailors, not just for the Navy, but also from all over the world. They would have the highest venereal rates in the 20th century from the 19 teens onward to today. So those things were very, very true. It was a fun city in that sense. But of course, one of the dangers associated with these kinds of vices as well as pleasures. There are many brothels, of course, around the Wells in the late 19th century into the 19th teens. So you have a service industry there of entertainment and fun and frivolity, but also of poverty too. Norfolk and Virginia would be in the teens and 20s one of the poorest states in the Union. Of course, that's not the case today. One of the wealthiest because of government spending, which lifted us out of many depressions of the world wars, and certainly the military and federal presence here has given us recession-proof sort of infrastructure, which allows us to withstand a lot of economic problems in other places. So Norfolk, but that was not the case in 1913, right? The irony, of course, is Virginia always prided itself on less government spending, but government spending is what brought it out. It's poverty. It would have great poverty. It had the worst housing in America. It had dirt floors and people living on straw around the Wells, around Freemason. East Freemason was the worst housing in America. I mean, no running water into the 19 teens, no electric lights.
And that's just a few blocks from us, right?
Exactly. It's like a really horrible situation.
Sure.
But it was better sanitation than earlier in time. I mean, in the 1850s, you had the yellow fever epidemic. You had all these epidemics, and it was very unhealthy to be in Norfolk, and that's why the peninsula was much more populous during the colonial era. But by 1913, sanitation had improved, so Norfolk was becoming safe enough to live in terms of not having these pandemics. At least, we thought.
Right. That's a good chance for us to explore this mezzanine a little bit more. And Charles, we may come back to you in just a bit. So Ashley, how are you feeling now?
I've been standing in here a long time. So again, I felt very much down there that there is the lady in white. I feel like she was a player here. She was in a play. She didn't die here, but this was really where her heart was, and so it's a residual haunting. She I'm sure, again, she stays pretty much in this area, and so this is where, when she was in the audience, she loved to sit. She loved to sit and watch the different parts of rehearsal here. But she's very much a singer, and I feel like she also almost had an operatic style, very kind of Christine and Phantom vibe. So I feel that very much. Maybe she was that role. I don't know, but it's a good energy over here. Definitely. I thought I saw something earlier when Dr. Charles Ford was talking, and I was like, let me not scream. Yeah, I still am human, guys. Like, I'm a little freaked out because I can feel it all. But anyway, so, but yeah, that's what I get. I feel like I can hear her voice over and over again, which is pretty cool. So for those of you who I guess have experienced it, I'm assuming it sounds pretty, like you said, high soprano, maybe kind of operatic-ish.
That's what we've heard.
Okay.
Let me check in right quick. Ryan Ward, do you have anything? And by the way, Jessica Holt, I saw you out there, and I agree. I'm glad that you agree. These are the best seats in the house. All right, Ryan, what you got for us? Anything about the woman in white?
I never really experienced her much in that area, but when we had the Monroe building, I really saw her quite a bit. We used to have our costume shop and our prop shop on the 3rd floor. And when you come down from like the tech rail and turn all the lights off at the end of the night, if somebody had said left some lights on, or there's another light or something, the main control for the lights was all the way up. And when I'd have to walk down in the pitch black, late nights, I mean, we're talking 11, 12 probably in the evening, after everybody had gone home, it was just me and the keys doing my like lockup rounds. Occasionally there were some times where like you weren't quite alone in that hallway, or like I'd go in one door and you turn around and it would sound like the stair door had just shut. So there was always like, I never really saw her like be experienced for myself, but I feel like she was always around, if that makes sense.
I feel like she's not just here. I feel like she has been present here, but I, for some reason, feel like I saw her earlier. Before we started, I was standing on the stage, and I thought I saw Patrick walk by. He had went to use the restroom, and it definitely was not him. It was a white figure in the lobby. So she's definitely, she likes to wander. She just loves the theater. So she's not anything to be afraid of, though. She has really good energy. She just loves to sing. And I love that.
So we've talked a lot about the Mez and the woman in white. We're going to leave her for a little bit and talk about squeaky boots or squeaky shoes, depending on who tells the story. Above us, of course, is the next balcony, and we're going to head up there. But I'll tell you a little bit of the story as we go.
Lord.
I will tell you that this is the part of the tour that scares me the most, although this is the ghost that... Hey, there you are. This is the ghost that we credit with being maybe the kindest of them all. I was trying to reach Jenny before this. She's our resident costume shop manager, and she left a toy for this particular ghost. You'll remember it was a segregated balcony originally when the theater was built. Whoa, are you there? Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm losing. Are you guys still there? You with me now?
Yep, we're all here.
Okay. So we are now upstairs, and I'm going to flip my camera around, and we are in the top balcony. So the story is that a child fell off of the segregated balcony, presumably an African-American child, and so we hear squeaky shoes running around. And I mentioned that on the other side of this wall is the Monroe building, and we have, whoa, these shadows kind of freak me out. Sorry, guys. We have often heard feet squeaking on the third and fourth floor, especially. My office used to be on the third floor, and it was not unusual to hear you think somebody's shoes squeaking down the hallway and stick your head out, and there was nobody there. And Jenny, our costume shop manager, I mentioned that during the renovation, we added this wall. You can see there's a wall right here on my right. And that wall divides us from some storage, and it's an acoustic thing too because of the resloping of the floor, etc. So costume storage is up here, and Jenny can often just think about a costume she wants. And when she comes up, it's already at the front of the rack and ready to go. And that happens in costume storage, which is just right over here behind this door. I unlocked it earlier so we could peek in just a little bit, and you can see, hi costumes. I'm going to tell you I'm a little scared to go too far in here, but I'm going to go in just a little bit. But you can see our beautiful storage, and but you can see also how these are still stairs, right, from the original seats that used to go all the way up. All right, I'm going to back out of there for now and close the door again. Hi, Squeaky Boots. How are you feeling, Ashley?
This is probably, and earlier, I think I didn't mean dark at all. I meant, kind of lurking in the shadows type. But
Speak just a little louder for us.
Oh, sorry. Earlier I was saying I didn't want to say there's dark energy here. I meant more so like kind of lurking in the shadows type. If anybody took it that way, it's absolutely not what I meant. But I will say, as soon as we walked up the stairs, I felt an energy shift, and the spirit is very present here. It is I can feel that it is a child. I got very strongly that, oh God, it's like making me kind of emotional, that his mother used to love to sing to him. So, of course, she sang him to sleep. He loves to engage. He's just very playful. And I don't want to say it's a residual thing. I think he is stuck here from his unfortunate death, but he puts a really good energy off, but it is very present, which means would make sense if he is has that much energy. He has conjured that he can present the costumes to the costume designer. That is amazing. And I think you said that she had offered him a toy, correct?
Yeah, she leaves some toys.
He is I just feel like he loved that. He's again, he's very playful, and but there is he thinks about his mother singing to him asleep, and I feel that, and again, it makes me a little emotional. It's very intense energy, but it's I could see again why he shows himself often.
Do you think you'd be up to going a little deeper in costume storage?
Yeah.
Several people are asking, and
Oh God, yeah.
okay.
Ooh, I'm a little sweaty on that one.
All right. Hi, guys.
Oh wow.
All right. Here we go. Try to get you front facing again. Shoe storage. Shoes are very important in the theater. I often say that shoes do more for a character's psychology, and getting a costumer that helps you get the right shoes is really important. I'm also talking because I'm scared. How you doing back there?
He likes, I feel like, so you guys call him Squeaky Shoes, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's more like a playing with the shoes, not necessarily his shoes squeaking. He likes this area. Ooh.
Right? It's crazy. Like I am.
It's really intense, guys.
Yeah.
And he likes to play. He rubs them together and makes them squeak, and that's what you guys hear. It's not necessarily him running,
Right?
but he does like to. I don't know if anybody's seen him like kind of on the rigs out here. That's, I think he was trying to play, and that's what happened when he fell. To take out my sponge, my spray.
That could make sense.
Woo!
It is a
God.
So this is all the way up against the back wall of the theater. And it would make sense that this is a safe
See if he could give us a
space.
sign. I'm about to ask him.
Okay. I'm gonna move closer to the door before you ask for a sign. But I think that's a very valid thing to do.
I'm just curious.
But
I feel him so strong. I feel like
No, I agree.
I don't know. Now you're freaking me out.
Well,
I'm freaking myself out.
all right.
I'm
Do you
okay.
wanna ask for a sign?
Yeah. Let me give me a second here. I'm gonna just. Hey, this is positive energy here. We know that you're here. If you feel comfortable enough to show us that you're here, we acknowledge you, and we would like to know how you feel about us being here. Can you show us a sign? I know you love shoes. If you're here right now, show us a sign. It's okay. You have nothing to be scared of.
All right, buddy. We're gonna have to move on.
Yeah, we're moving on.
But come play with us sometime, okay? You can play as long as you want to. All right, let me relock
I
this.
just knew he was going to do something. Maybe it'll still.
Well, we've got a little ways to go, so we're gonna head back downstairs. Shh, Nikes. Sorry. Hi. How are we doing on? I see it sounds like the camera was glitching a lot while we were in there. Actually.
Okay. Oh, was it?
Yeah. All right, we are back into the theater.
Ooh.
All right. Whew. Hey, Zoom guys, are y'all still in there?
Nope.
I might have lost them for real. Hang on. We're just checking in with our friends on Zoom. Oh. All right, we're going to head downstairs, and then I'm going to rejoin them. All right, we are headed back down. If you've been at the Wells much, you're probably familiar with this stairwell. And we are going
Super heavy.
back to the lobby. That was a lot.
That really was a lot. I just knew that something was going to happen, but maybe you got a little shy.
I don't know. It was definitely some energy.
It really was. You felt it too, right?
Oh, totally.
Oh my God, it was like.
So we're headed back into the theater proper. I'm not really sure what caused us to lose connections, but well, it totally could have been our friend. But I do know that I need to take just a second to rejoin our friends on Zoom so that we can hear a little bit more. I see the good doctor. I see everybody back. Hey, how are you guys? I missed you.
Hey,
All right.
we're scared all alone.
Yeah, we aren't going in that costume shop.
All right.
The tents in there.
Ryan, talk to us about the time you came in and all the chairs were down.
So there's a certain way they like to leave the theater every night, which is like all the curtains are drawn just to keep the heat and air and everything functioning and at its best, not overworked. So every night I'd have the ushers put up all 650 some chairs, and they're like the old school kind. You have to physically move up and move down, not like the movie theater ones that just do it on their own anymore. And then all the curtains are drawn. So every night that's how I love the space, like ghost light on stage, and that's it. And I came in several times, and the curtains would be, every one of them would be open, and all 3 sets of the balconies, even the ones we don't use anymore. And a lot of the times, every seat in the whole house would be down. And
What?
That's a lot of work. It would take me closer to an hour to put everything back together again. So if it's a prank or if it's anybody like just kind of having fun with me, that was kind of what they would do. And it wouldn't happen all the time, but every couple months, something would be different. I'd be like, and by the end, I just started talking to them. I was like, all right, guys. All righty. Got me again.
That's amazing. Some people are talking and discussing the fire that happened in the 60s, and I don't know a whole lot about that particular fire. Hi, Jay Reese. But I do know that there's some weird stuff that happens. He was referring to, you can see right here, these curtains, which would be open, including the ones upstairs. Now, if you think about the fact that this theater was renovated in 1986 and new tapestries and curtain frames were put in then, and while the tapestries have been cleaned since, the tracks of the curtains have not been changed. And it actually takes a decent amount of physical effort to open and close those. But that brings us to our next story, because this particular box, if you're facing the theater, that would be on house right. And this box is where we often see the man in black, also known as the man in the tux or the man in the top hat. And he was there, or he sits there and has been seen, as have all 3 of these ghosts, I should mention, have also had appearances in the Monroe building, which is on the other side over here of this wall, as well as behind us, which is now the Tappet building, and was originally, or at least when I first moved here, was A.J. Gators. That building is the Schulman building. It's now occupied by Governor's School and some offices in Tappet. But when the theater was built, it was a different building completely. And that building had a Chinese restaurant on the roof. And you could actually pass back and forth between the theater, is my understanding, and the Chinese restaurant from the second level. So there are stories about people who used to work at A.J. Gators that would talk about both the child and the man in black and the woman in white most commonly appearing in their storage room. If we look over at house left, you can see the faces, and I'm going to get up closer on some of them. Just traveling a little here. All right. So you can see how these faces are all alike, except for one. If you're facing the stage, the face we are looking at is the top left, and that face is different than the others. If you go to stage right, or house right, you can see the boxes we were talking about earlier. And that box where the man in black appears, or the man in the tux, it is because his daughter is supposedly the face in the top left box, and that she originally passed away during the building of the wells. And so that face was made different than the other faces, and he sits there so that he can gaze on her image, and because she loved the theater and he wanted to be able to celebrate her. And so we still see that. Now, I know that once Ryan talked about, sorry for the jerkiness of the camera, hang on, here we go. Ryan talked about how the curtains would close on their own. But I will say that I was cleaning in that box one time. So I came here originally as an intern like 17 years ago, and then went away and came back in a different title. But when I was here, after 2 o'clock in the morning, cleaning up after a summer rental, I was vacuuming out that box, and those curtains that are open right now closed all by themselves. And that was pretty scary. And so I decided I was done vacuuming, and I unplugged, and I went home, and I came back in the light of day and cleaned up. But that is a space. Do you feel anything from that box, Ashley?
When you were talking earlier, I do feel a sort of just a sadness. I don't feel him or anything, but I can tell that that space holds a kind of a sadder energy, which would make sense if he's gazing on the face of his daughter that passed. I just think he, and maybe also feels lonely, which is why he, again, is pretty present when people are in that's his space. He, I think, identifies that as his space, so he could look upon his daughter, and so he feels alone. And I think when people are up there, he wants to present himself because he's lonely. So, but I don't see him or feel him or anything. I can feel that energy though, just off of this area, and it's sad, but it's very interesting. You can see the distinct difference.
Yeah,
in the face.
It's a little hard to get on my camera from this angle, but that face is substantially different than all the rest. It might be a lot rounder or wider, and just has a very different, that's as beautiful and ornate and specific as this theater is, with frescoes on the ceiling. I have a hard time believing that that's an accident.
Patrick.
Yes, Ryan. Hang on one second.
Questions about the man in the top hat and if he's been identified. And I know, am I right? Sometimes we call the man in the top hat the architect, or maybe that's separate.
No, that is true. So the story is that he was an architect who was working on the building with, is it Hannity or Hanson and Sons? That was the original architect. And this building was built, it was very progressive for its time, built out of poured concrete and steel, and was advertised as being fireproof. So, not a small feat in its period.
And we've got Bryce Kephart, who is an old friend of Virginia Stage Company and was an intern with us some years ago on Facebook, and Bryce mentioning that he's had a scary incident with the man in black, or the man in the tux. And if you don't mind, Bryce, I think I can recall well enough, because I was there after Bryce had this experience. He was in the main lobby, and someone was walking into what is now a kind of coat closet, storage closet. At that time, it was a liquor closet. And he thought, that's unusual. It shouldn't be in there. And he walked up, and there was no one in the space. I might be telling this a little wrong. Bryce, you can correct me on Facebook. But he realized later that was a person that matched the description of the man in the tux, or the man in black. And it seemed very odd to him that this person was so dressed up. And I remember when he had that realization, Bryce was just white as a ghost. Yes, it was. Bryce says it was during rehearsal, probably during rehearsal of Christmas Carol, I'll bet.
Thank you for that, Ryan. I remember Bryce talking about that a little bit at the time. I will say a sweet part of this for me is how many familiar names I'm seeing pop up during this broadcast. And I wish I could hug so many of you that I haven't gotten to see in a long time. Jay Reese is saying that he had, Jay worked with us as technical director for a while and also as an actor. And he's talking about having a lot of interactions with the woman in white while he was here, as well as with Ned. The woman in white too, there are similar stories about her being up in this mezzanine, and the technical director, I believe it was Robert Ashley, who was the ATD, when I first came, told a story about seeing her up there and asking her to leave. And he went to the lobby, from which you should be able to see if someone's exiting. She never left. The other doors were already locked, and then she was gone. So now we get to the Wells Theater stage again, and we're going to look up here. You can see this is the fly system above us. We have one of the few working hemp houses left in the United States. There are a few others that are partially, kind of half hemp, and there are many that have been converted, and there are some that are just not in use. When we say hemp, what we mean is, if you remember theaters, maybe like in your high school, that backstage they have a row on the wall of ropes and you put stage weights in it. We don't have that. We have pins that are up there up top where you tie things off, and hemp rope and sandbags. And so everything that's hung above our stage is hung independently and it's great because it's infinitely configurable. It's also a pain because you have to start from scratch every time and be very, very careful with safety concerns. So we're going to go up into the fly where Ned hangs out. And I'll tell you that story as we start up the stairs a little bit. Ned, yes, Kelsey and Jay, I will find a way to mention how to appease Ned. When I first came, we talked about Ned a lot and used to leave him gifts, and it's a little harder to do. One, because nobody smokes anymore, and two, because the passage to the roof is locked. We used to leave our friend Ned. We used to leave our friend Ned cigarettes and beer on the roof. But Ned was a sailor. Very common during this period to hire sailors to work in hemp houses for obvious reasons. And Ned in particular worked at this one. For a lot, sailors could communicate by whistle, which was handy for working backstage. And so Ned would work backstage and operate ropes and flies. You can see some of our ropes as we head up. And the story is that one day he looks down the rail, and we'll get there in just a second and look down the rail. I'm going to go up one more step.
Is he seen with like a cap?
Yes, often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, often. Okay, I just want to make sure.
So the story is that Ned was looking down during an operetta, down a lady's dress, supposedly, and he slipped and fell and got tangled up in the ropes. You can now see that we're up to the level of the electrics. You can see these lighting instruments right here. So this is how far up we are now. If you can see down there. Great. And you can also see these rooms that are off the galleries, because back in the day, the building was self-sufficient, so these were also dressing rooms. We're heading up the last set of stairs. And now we're in the fly. You can see we take very good care of our ropes, and things are nice and well done and clean. But Ned supposedly fell from this level. You can see where we tie off pens and where sandbags are used to counterweight. So all of these things go all the way up to the grid. You can barely get me up there under normal circumstances, much less at night. So I won't be doing that today. But this is kind of where we credit Ned for hanging out. How do you feel?
He's kind of lanky, however, he has really strong arms. I feel like he used to do a lot on the ropes, which he was very risky with his behavior up here, and people loved it. Unfortunately, it brought him to his demise. But his energy is very mischievous, and like I said, I feel like he was very risky with almost like dangling, he wrapped his whole body in like his feet. He would grip with his feet on the ropes. But he, I see him with the cap. And I feel like he likes to be known for his talents up here, which is why he presents himself the way he does to people.
Yeah. We're going to look over this edge again. I want to be very careful not to drop anything, but you can see it's quite a ways down. From the floor to the grid is actually 6 stories. Thank you, BA. Which is quite a height. There's also an old window that's locked over here that you can see, and there's a story. You can also see this ladder, right, which goes all the way up to the grid. Just for the record, all these places are usually locked off, but up to the grid there is you can walk across. It's kind of boingy, like a trampoline. And so the TD at the time the TD being technical director had gone up to check on things, and he saw somebody walking around on this side and on the other side. And let's go ahead and walk over to the other side. But as he looked down, he saw a guy who actually that's weird because it's very much the description that I've been given about him being lanky, strong arms, all of that. And the sandbags were swinging, and
he was like a little acrobat on these ropes.
Yeah, and so the guy was like, "Hey, you need to get out of here because, of course, nobody should be up here. It's very dangerous." Yeah, I can feel it too. Hey, Ned, buddy.
He is with
What's up, dude?
Right.
Hey, bud. And so yeah. Wow, I'm getting weepy again.
You feel it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's really intense on this side right now.
So these bags would be swinging, and these are very heavy sandbags, obviously, because they counterweight lights like this and all sorts of stuff.
Did you hear that? I'm not kidding. Did you hear a whistle?
No.
Somebody just whistled.
Of course.
Of
course you did.
Just heard a whistle.
So I want to say too, Ned, that in this communication device that I'm broadcasting from, 2 different people have said thank you for helping them maintain up here. 2 different technical director folks, and for keeping things in order. And that was from BA. I don't know if you remember her. Jay said similar things. So just know that we're really proud to have you here. We've been talking about you for a long time, buddy.
He's proud to be here, trust me.
Bryce says he heard the whistle.
He did?
Yeah.
I heard it.
It makes sense.
It was like very quick.
So the technical director at the time with the story said that the window over here was locked, and nobody came or went, and that was what he knew. You used to be able to get to the roof on there too. So this is a lot about the upstairs and Ned. We're going to go downstairs. One thing we haven't mentioned is during the 60s, this was a theater. They showed movies for a while after that, and then eventually it became a porn theater, which probably Ned didn't hate. So during that time, this area that we're on, this stage below, the proscenium arch, the separation between the audience was boarded up. And so that was when this was actually a gin distillery, as well as, I believe they call it a house of ill repute. And so you could, the stage door, what's now the backstage door, of course, has always been the stage door. And at that time was the place that was the front door of this place. I believe it was called the Jamaica Room. adult movies, very, very adult movies, Rob White. And in fact, I've met more than a few older gentlemen in town who have talked about seeing their first skin flick here in the 60s and early 70s. So we're going to go down to those rooms. And here we go. All right. And check out. So these were originally dressing rooms, but also later became sex rooms for sex workers. Now it's lighting storage. There's one over here.
I do feel like there's a lady presence up here somewhere too.
You were saying a lady presence?
Yeah. And I think it's separate from the lady in white for some reason. I don't know. She's more. She kind of has the same energy as like Ned. I don't think they were, knew each other or anything. But I feel like it's like a kind of a playful energy, which would align with what these rooms had going on.
All right, we're going down to the next level and another row of dressing rooms. Little fog machine. In this room?
No, I felt it back up there pretty strong with her. But, I mean, this whole area is a lot. But I did feel whatever that room was used for that we were just in, I felt like there was a presence there. A lady.
Do you want to read that room?
Oh my God, yeah, this is like, anytime there's a room with, and I get it because of the building.
Yeah, talk a little louder.
With all the power, they will manifest from that. They literally use that energy to do the things that you guys are seeing them do around here. So that would make sense that Ned's pretty active. And again, I felt that woman. It wasn't too strong like Ned was. I saw him immediately, but the fact that there's an energy room up here literally is also kind of feeding the spirits. So it makes sense that it's a lot going on and that the players see things up here.
That all lines up. Jenny was saying that Ned used to open the elevator for her. Jenny, our costume shop head, that Ned would open the elevator door. Hello, sailor. All right. So we're just kind of cruising back through. We're gonna head down, and I've got Josh on the tour with us, who's going to tell us a little bit about his favorite ghost in town, which, who knows, might have attended the Wells at some point. Or actually, no, that's before the Wells, because it's the oldest house in town, right? Josh, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. I'm getting you pulled up. All right. Are you still here? Oh, we're repopulating. Here we go.
I think you're here. Hi. All right, you with me?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. The Moses Myers house. Moses Myers didn't attend the Wells Theater. He died well before it was built.
That's right.
But the Myers family, or the Myers household, housed 5 generations of Myers family members. And the last patriarch to live in the house, whose name was Barton Myers, he didn't die until 1930. So it's very possible that he and his wife and maybe his daughters could have attended the Wells. Because you had 5 generations of people living and dying in the house, we know that Moses Myers and Eliza Myers, his wife, both died in the house. We know that several of their adult children died in the house, and that they had several infant children that also died in the house, which is where most people died at that time. It wasn't uncommon, but because you had that many generations die in that house, and it is now operated as a historic house, and it's staffed with people. You get a lot of stories coming out of that house. I used to work there, and personally, I never experienced anything, but I always felt like there was someone watching me. It was definitely one of those feelings there. But the one story that I wanted to tell is it happened about 17 years ago, and it was an employee at the museum who had to go to the third floor, which is where the children's rooms are. If anybody has been to the museum, to the Moses Myers house, on the third floor, you have much smaller rooms and much lower ceilings, and that is where all the children's bedrooms were. And this employee had to go in there to either take some photographs or grab some photos out of one of the rooms that at the time was being used as storage. They walked in, they opened a door to one of the children's rooms, and they found a little girl with blonde curls in a red checkered dress sitting in a chair on the third floor of the Moses Myers house by herself. And he said that he looked at her and she looked at him, and they both appeared a little shy and like they had disturbed one another. And he blinked his eyes and she was gone. Now, as you can probably guess, he promptly left the house and vowed to never go back there alone, and which you can understand why. And there is documented evidence of a little girl being in that house in a dress that was described by him. So it very well could have been one of the descendants of the Myers family. When I worked there, there were a lot of people who said that they heard footsteps on the second floor when there was nobody else there, that they heard doors shutting or doors being opened that they had closed themselves. But I never felt, and I don't think anybody else has really ever felt anything predatory or malicious there. So I would encourage people to visit the Moses Myers house.
Yes, and we would encourage people to visit the Wells Theater too. Thanks, Josh. That's a crazy story. I'm gonna flip this around so you guys can see. So lots of stories, and we're gonna head down to the place that probably freaks me out the most of this whole tour.
Great.
Which is down to, you can actually get there a few ways. The trap door is actually right here in the center of the stage, and I can open it right here, and we can see down. There you go. There you go. You can see down to the basement, but we're going to go down the stairs proper. Somebody was asking, how do you make Ned happy? And if you have children, cover their ears. But we have a long line of women who have worked here in technical director and company management positions that all say that if you show him your breasts, then he will fix things.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's kind of an old joke. So we're going to go down these stairs.
I think that whistle I heard was him whistling at a lady. Maybe it was the lady I felt in the second room. I don't know.
Maybe it was you.
Maybe.
It was totally you.
All right, Ned. He's got some nice arms.
The stairs are really creepy.
Yeah.
So we are underneath the stage. Here are the.
Ugh.
You can smell it's really musty. Don't you get some energy down here?
Yeah.
You can also see if we come around. There's the. If you've ever watched Marley appear during A Christmas Carol, he comes up those stairs. So we are coming around. There's more storage that goes even deeper. And then, Sakina goes deeper under the stage. And then this is actually where you would enter the orchestra pit. And from here you can see like the floor of the hills. What? What was what?
Are they walking up there? Did you?
I don't think so. I asked them to stay in the lobby, but I would yell if something happened.
Okay.
So this is the orchestra pit, and you can see it's very shallow, but when the floor's up, it's about a 2 or 3 foot. There are girls in the trap. Is that from the sex workers? I think that's what somebody's saying. You think guys came? Well, no, it's only been done in the dark, is my understanding from the other folks who have done it. Ho, was that you?
Just me.
Okay. So that's the downstairs.
Okay.
See, we keep a lot of lights down here. Do you feel anything down here?
It's definitely a staler energy. I don't feel like there's necessarily haunting, but it is heavy down here.
It is heavy. A lot of flooding has occurred here over the years.
It's very heavy.
Wait, what's that?
What?
I thought I heard that squeak again. Maris?
No, I just heard that.
I did too. This is our friend Marley. All right, that's got to be like Carolyn or somebody. That's Carolyn.
That is a person.
Hey.
So we were not hearing a person just now. Right?
That's
Is
now
that
you're
person?
here. Okay. Whew.
Oh, wow. So did you hear this? Okay.
The earlier one, that was not y'all?
No. That really wasn't you?
All right.
No. Oh, wow.
So we're wrapping up here with our tour. Any last comments from our friends on Zoom? Oh, they've closed again. I need more hands, you guys. I do want to. We do have one little last story for you. I think we lost them down there. All right, Ashley, do you have anything to close us out here?
This was a wonderful experience for me. I genuinely connected, I think, I wasn't expecting to connect. With the exception of this, I did feel the energy of the balcony, but I did pretty much connect with each spirit. So that was pretty cool. I do want to say the collective energy from every single one of them is that they all love the theater. And how wonderful is that?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there before we finish this and say, this ghost light is really important to us. I mentioned that earlier, and it's been fun to see so many familiar old friends pop up during this tour. But please know that as long as we can keep this light on, we're going to. And that whether you can literally come to the wells or whether the wells is an idea in your brains or your hearts or your whatever, what we say about Public Works is that theater belongs to all people and not just watching theater, but making it. And I hope that in whatever way you can, that you continue to create and to give and to do and to share stories like we've been doing tonight. And we send you lots and lots of love in this time. And be nice to yourself and be nice to your friends. And just think of us, and we'll see you very soon. Ashley, do you want to give us a little final good wish?
Yeah, I'm going to hold my 2 grounding stones. I've been clasping them in my pockets this whole time. They're very hot, which means they are working. I just want to give a blessing to this ghost light, this beautiful place that holds so much energy, so much history. And I want to send light to everyone in this time. And I'm sending light to the theater and all the spirits, and may they be human and or energies that come into this building. So, blessed be.
Thank you, Maris and Carolyn, for hanging out with us. Thank you, panel, for hanging out with us too, and for your good stories. And we'll see you next time, all at the Wells Theater. There is a donate button, I think, and if not, you can go to vastage.org and check out all the great stuff we're doing with vastage.org/virtual, where you can sign up for lots of classes and other interactive events like this. And we'll try to keep content coming. Keep us in your hearts, and if you can, spare a dollar here or there. These are tough times for all of us, but we're sending you our love and wish you the best in this time. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.